What happens when one of radio's most ruthless interviewers goes head-to-head with a British royal who believes he can control the narrative? You're about to find out. And this interview spiraled out of control faster than anyone could have predicted. Before we get into this complete train wreck, be sure to hit that subscribe button and share in the comments what you think really happened. The tension was clear the moment Prince Harry stepped into Howard Stern's studio. You could feel the atmosphere. Titan Howard, known for his no-nonsense style, wasn't about to give the Duke of Sussex any special treatment. And Harry, well, he seemed to expect that he would. So, Harry, Howard began, leaning back with his signature smirk. You've been very vocal lately about privacy and the media. Yet here you are, on my show, speaking to millions. Explain. That logic. Harry shifted in his seat, clearly caught off guard. Well, Howard, there's a difference between choosing to tell your story and having it taken and twisted by tabloids for profit, right? Right. Howard nodded, his tone skeptical. So when you make a Netflix doc, a book deal, do interviews, that's controlling the narrative. But a photographer snaps a pic of you at a coffee shop and that's violating your privacy. Is that how it works? Harry's jaw tightened. It's not that simple, Howard. You're oversimplifying something very complex, am I? Howard leaned forward. Because from where I sit, it looks like you want it both ways. You enjoy the perks of being royal when it's convenient, and claim victimhood when it's not. Harry's face reddened. That's unfair, and you know it. I've sacrificed everything to protect my family from the same system that killed my mother. Whoa, whoa, Howard raised his hands. Let's slow down there. Your Highness, you've sacrificed everything. You live in a $16 million mansion in Montecito. Your wife has production deals. You're here promoting your projects. What exactly have you given up? My relationship with my family, my home, my security, Harry responded, his voice rising. Things you can't possibly understand. Howard laughed, not kindly. My security. You've got more protection than the president. And as for your family, didn't you write a whole book dragging them? Go on TV and basically call them racists. I never called them racists, Harry said. No, you just strongly implied it and let everyone else assume it. Howard shot back, very courageous. When you wrote that book, he continued, did you think about how your father would feel reading the parts where you insulted his wife? Or how your brother would react to private conversations being aired? Harry was visibly uncomfortable now. Those stories needed to be told. The truth had to come out. The truth according to who? Howard pressed. You say you want privacy, but you won't stop talking. You say you want to protect your family, but you keep exposing them. You say you want peace, but you keep stirring controversy. Which Harry should we believe? This interview is about my charity work. Harry tried to steer the conversation. Oh, is it? Howard grinned. Because your team said this was your chance to set the record straight about recent controversies. So which is it? Charity or more settling? Harry now looked truly unsettled. I thought this would be a more respectful discussion. Respectful. Howard raised his eyebrows. You want respect? Earn it. You can't publicly bash your family for years and expect a soft touch here. This isn't the BBC. This is real life. Harry's fists clenched. You don't know what you're talking about. You don't know what it's like to grow up in that environment. To lose your mother. To watch history repeat itself. You're right, I don't, Howard said, his voice sharp. But I do know what it means to own your choices. To build something from nothing. Not to be born into privilege and then complain about it, handed everything. Harry's voice cracked. Do you think this has been easy? But I asked for any of this. No, Howard replied. But you've profited from it. Every interview, every book, every documentary, it's always about how hard your life has been. Meanwhile, there are people out there with real problems, real struggles, and they don't get multi-million-dollar deals to talk about them. The studio fell silent. Harry was clearly trying to keep his composure while Howard leaned back, visibly enjoying the tension. You know what your problem is, Harry, Howard continued, not letting the silence linger. You want to be both a victim and a hero. You want sympathy for your hardships and praise for your bravery, but you can't have both. At some point, you have to choose a lane. Harry turned toward the camera, as if appealing directly to the viewers. People can see through this. Howard, they know what you're doing. And what is that? Exactly. Howard challenged. You're trying to humiliate me for entertainment. Howard laughed sharply. If you're feeling humiliated, that's on you. I'm just asking the questions no one else has had the guts to ask. Questions no one else has had the guts to ask, Harry repeated bitterly. Or questions designed to provoke reactions and boost ratings. Howard shrugged. Maybe both. But here's the deal, Your Royal Highness, if you can't handle the heat, maybe don't show up to a place known for turning it up. Did you honestly think you'd walk in here and get softball questions about playing polo? I expected basic human decency. Harry snapped. Basic human decency. Howard echoed mockingly. That's rich, coming from someone who wrote an entire book calling his stepmother dangerous and his father emotionally unavailable. Where was your decency then? Harry's face turned red. You're twisting my words. That book was about healing, about breaking the cycle of trauma. Oh please. Howard rolled his eyes. Healing. You made millions airing your family's private lives. If that's healing, I'm the Queen of England. Real healing looks like private therapy, private conversations, not Netflix specials and best-selling memoirs. You clearly haven't read the book, Harry protested weakly. Actually, I have, Howard shot back. Cover to cover, and here's what I got from it. You're really good at playing the victim. In every story, every moment you're bros, jealous, your father's cold, your stepmother's manipulative. Everyone's at fault but you. Harry abruptly stood up. I don't have to sit here and listen to this character assassination. Sit down, Howard said firmly. You booked this interview, promoted it, confirmed it multiple times. You don't get to walk out just because you don't like the questions. Harry remained standing, visibly conflicted. This isn't an interview, it's an ambush. No, Howard shot back, it's accountability. Something you've been dodging for years. When's the last time someone actually challenged you instead of nodding along to your sob story? My sob story. Harry's voice cracked. My mother died when I was 12. And that's tragic, Howard said, his tone briefly softening, but then it hardened again. But you're not 12 anymore. You're a grown man with your own kids. At what point do you stop using your mother's death to justify every bad decision you make? Gasps echoed from the studio audience. Harry looked stunned, as if slapped. How dare you? He whispered, voice trembling with fury. How dare I? What? Tell the truth. Howard shot back. Losing a parent is awful, but millions of people have gone through it. They don't spend the next 20 years making it everyone else's problem. Your mother wouldn't want this anger, this constant battle, this obsession with victimhood. Don't you dare tell me what my mother would want, Harry growled, voice darkening. Why not? Howard replied coldly. You've been doing it for years. Every interview, every speech, every moment, tide's all about what Diana would want, what Diana would think. You've turned your mother into the spokesperson for every grudge you carry. Harry began pacing, clearly overwhelmed. You're disgusting, he said. I'm honest, Howard replied calmly. There's a difference, and to be honest, your mother was admired for her charity, her kindness, her ability to unite people. Does any of that reflect what you've been doing lately? My charity work speaks for itself, Harry said, his voice tight. Harry spoke through clenched teeth. Does it really? Howard challenged. Because from what I see, most of your recent charity work revolves around you. Even your mental health advocacy always circles back to your trauma, your struggles, your pain. When was the last time you did something charitable where you weren't the focus? Harry stopped pacing and stared at Howard with pure loathing. You have no idea what you're talking about. Then enlighten me, Howard replied, spreading his arms. Tell me the last event you attended without cameras. The last donation you made without a press release. The last good deed you did without making sure everyone knew about it. A long silence followed. Harry struggled to respond. Finally, he said, not everything has to be public. Exactly my point, Howard jumped in. But with you, everything is public. Your mental health, your family, your marriage, your finances. You've turned your life into a reality show and still complain about privacy. My marital issues? Harry's voice sharpened. What marital issues? Howard grinned like a shark. Oh, come on, Harry, you think people haven't noticed? The solo appearances, the body language. Your wife seems to have her own agenda. It doesn't always include you. Leave my wife out of this, Harry warned, his voice low and trembling. Why? She put herself in it. She's doing interviews, making public statements, signing her own deals. She's fair game, Howard said flatly. She is not fair game, Harry snapped, now shaking with fury. Really? Because she sure acts like she is. Tell me, does it bother you that she's more famous than you? That when people think of your relationship, she's the star, and you're just the accessory? Harry's hands trembled. You don't know anything about my marriage. I know what I see, Howard replied coldly. I see a woman who plays the media game you claim to hate better than anyone, a master of victimhood, even more than you. And I see a man so desperate to prove he made the right choice, he's willing to burn everything else down to justify it. Stop, Harry said quietly, but the warning in his voice was clear. Stop. What? Telling the truth? Howard pressed. Your wife has destroyed your relationship with your family, isolated you from friends, and convinced you that anyone who questions her is a racist. And you've gone along with it because if you admit you were wrong, you'd have to admit that maybe your family was just trying to protect you. Harry slammed his hand on the table. The sound echoed through the studio like a gunshot. The audience fell silent. He stood, chest heaving, face flushed, glaring at Howard, who remained calm in his seat. There it is, Howard said quietly, a smug smile forming. There's the real Harry, not the polished media-trained prince, not the so-called humanitarian. Just an angry, entitled man who can't stand being questioned. You pushed me to this, Harry said, voice barely steady. No, Howard replied. I revealed this. The anger, the entitlement, the refusal to take criticism, it was always there. I just gave it a stage. And I bet this is exactly who you are behind closed doors, whenever things don't go your way. Harry stood, breathing heavily, trying to steady himself. This interview is over. Is it? Howard asked casually, leaning back. But we've still got 20 minutes left, and you contractually agreed to stay for the full hour. Go ahead, walk out, Howard said. Prove my point about how you deal with adversity. Harry glanced toward the exit, then back at Howard, visibly torn. The cameras caught every second of the internal struggle playing out on his face. You know what I think happened? Howard continued, sensing Harry's hesitation. I think you came in here thinking I'd be impressed by your title, your tragic past, the whole wounded prince routine. You expected the same soft questions you always get. But here's the thing, Harry, titles don't impress me. Tragedy doesn't buy you immunity, and that act have seen better performances at community theater. Harry slowly sat back down, posture stiff, body tense. What do you want from me, Howard? I want honesty, Howard replied. Just once, I want you to admit that maybe, just maybe, you're not always the victim, that some of your problems might be your own doing. I've made mistakes, Harry said through gritted teeth. Have you? Howard challenged. Because every time you admit a mistake, there's always a justification right behind it. You left the royal family because they were racist. You wrote a book criticizing your relatives because it was healing. You moved to the U.S. Safety. You sit here doing interviews because you're setting the record straight. When do you just own a choice without blaming someone else? Harry stared at the table in silence. When he finally looked up, his eyes burned with restrained fury. You want me to own something? Fine. I own the fact that I trusted you to act like a professional. Howard laughed, loud and unbothered. Harry, this is professional. This is how everyone's treated on this show. The difference? Most people don't expect special treatment because of who their grandmother was. Don't bring my grandmother into this, Harry warned. Why not? You bring her into everything else. Every speech, every interview, every cause you invoke her memory to justify what you do. So tell me, do you think she'd be proud of who you've become? The question lingered, sharp and heavy. Harry's face shifted shock, hurt, anger. It settled on something like desperation. She'd understand, he said quietly, would she? Howard pressed, because the Queen, I remember, valued duty, service, loyalty. She kept her feelings private and put the institution above herself. Does that sound like you? The institution failed me, Harry replied. But the words lacked force. Or maybe you failed it. Howard shot back. Maybe when things got hard, instead of trying to fix it, you took the easy way out. You left, blamed everyone, and cast yourself as the hero. Harry's hands shook visibly now. You don't understand the pressure. The pressure, Howard repeated, of what? Being born into wealth? Of having people care about your opinions because of your bloodline instead of your achievements? Of getting a global platform most people could only dream of? Yet, sounds really difficult. It is tough, Harry insisted, but now he sounded like a child. No, Howard said sharply. Tough as a single mom working 3 jobs to feed her kids. Tough as a veteran with PTSD who can't get the help they need. Tough as an immigrant trying to survive in a country that doesn't welcome them. What you have, that's privilege. And instead of using it with responsibility, you've spent years whining about it. Harry buried his face in his hands. When he looked up again, his eyes were red. Why are you doing this to me? He asked, voice broken. Because someone has to, Howard replied, his tone softening just slightly. Everyone around you either worships you because of your title or enables you because they want something from you. No one's been honest with you in years, and it shows. So this is you being kind? Harry asked bitterly. This is me being real, Howard replied. And maybe if more people in your life had been real with you, instead of just telling you what you wanted to hear, you wouldn't be sitting here looking like a lost child who just realized the world doesn't revolve around him. Harry stood up against lower this time. I think we're done here. We're done when I say we're done, Howard said firmly. Sit down, Harry. Let's finish this like adults. Like adults. Harry's voice cracked. You've spent the last hour tearing me down for the sake of your audience. No, Howard said. I've spent the last hour holding up a mirror. You just don't like what's staring back at you. But here's the truth, that reflection doesn't disappear just because you walk away from it. Whether you leave this studio or not, you're still the same entitled, self-pitying, blame-deflecting person. Harry stood there, frozen. The cameras caught every second of his silence, his humiliation clear on his face as he struggled to speak. You know what the saddest part is? Howard continued, delivering the final blow. You could have been great. You had everything you needed to make a difference. But instead of rising above your circumstances, you let them define you. Instead of becoming the man your mother raised, you became a cautionary tale. What happens when privilege meets victimhood? Harry's voice was barely audible when he finally spoke. Are we really done now? Howard nodded. Yeah, Harry, we're done. As Harry walked off toward the exit, Howard turned to the camera. And that, folks, is what happens when entitlement runs headfirst into reality. The truth hurts, but it's still the truth. The studio remained silent as Harry disappeared through the door, leaving behind one of the most explosive interviews in broadcast history. Howard turned back to the mic, completely unfazed. So, what did you think of that absolutely brutal takedown? Did I go too far? Or was it exactly what Prince Harry needed to hear? Let me know in the comments, what do you think really pushed me to go this hard on royalty? He leaned into the mic with a smirk, and don't forget to subscribe for more raw celebrity moments you won't find anywhere else.